Welcome to lesson 035, using the pen to draw. With this, we're going to be using the pen in order to kind of draw some shapes and figures. Nothing super new to us, especially if you did the warm-up, you kind of got the idea of this. The big thing whenever we're talking about that pen is to make sure you go and click what I call the bacon strips in that lower left-hand corner, so that then you're able to get that pen working for you. Click on this. There we go. So, looking at the warm-up, what we needed to do is we needed to go to 0, 0. We needed to set the pen color. We erased everything off the screen so we weren't kind of drawing in the same place, though you could have and you probably wouldn't have noticed anything. We needed to set the pen down, point in a direction, and then move 200 steps. So that was all good and all. Now, try putting in this code. And pause this if it takes you too long. Shouldn't take you too long, though. This should draw a parallel line underneath it. But there's a small problem. Whenever we draw this one, and if you haven't paused it to draw yet, go ahead and try it so that you can see what the issue is. Whenever we draw this, it has this diagonal line suddenly go through it. We didn't want that. And so how do we fix this? Looks like a little Zorro symbol, right? What we need to do is we need to pick the pen up, move, and then put the pen down. It's kind of like writing, which is kind of cool, right? So pick the pen up, move it to the new location, then put the pen down. This prevents the pen from being dragged across the screen. Anywhere that Scratch goes and his pen is down, he's going to draw a line. All right, go ahead and, again, pause this code once we kind of get there to draw a square. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to initialize all of this information. So go to 0, 0, set your pen color, erase all, pen down, point direction, similar to the warm-up, right? And then we're going to move 100 steps, turn 90 degrees, move 100 steps, turn 90, move 100, turn 90, move 100. Go ahead and run that and see what happens. You should get something like this. You might have a different color of square because of how I reset your pen color. But you should have Scratch just drawing a, like, sitting kind of on top of a box, but he's facing up, which not really great. We really want to reset him to his original position if at all possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little turn 90 at the very bottom. So this is our how to make a square code. Now, this is all well and great, but if I told you, hey, I want you to make a bunch of squares, you'd probably start going, I really don't want to. So a way to be more efficient with your code, and there's an acronym for this, DRY, don't repeat yourself. If you find yourself repeating yourself over and over and over again, use a repeat, if at all possible, or figure out a way to make it so you don't have to type in the same code over and over again. There are occasions where, yes, you're going to type in the same code over and over, but try and avoid those if possible. So we still have that pen initialization, and then we repeat 4 times, moving a distance and turning 90 degrees. All right, pretty easy, right? Okay, take that. All right, cool, yeah. And one thing I don't like about this is Scratch is on top of it. I want to see my beautiful artwork that I've made. How do I make it so Scratch isn't there? If I delete Scratch, it doesn't work because then there's no sprite to do the drawing. And I can't just delete him in the middle of my program either. Like, that's not a feature that Scratch has. So what we can use is the show and hide feature. Show makes things, well, show. And then hide makes things hide. And so it makes it so that we can actually see the action that's happening and then hide it so that then whenever we're done, we can just see our nice, beautiful little square. All right. Now, let's go ahead and make a triangle. So same idea. We're using almost the same exact piece of code, except we're going to change our repeat to be 3. We're going to move 100 steps, and this one's going to get some of you, and you're going to question why we do this. And it's turn 120 degrees. Now, for those of you that aren't quite sure why people were struggling with this in geometry, and kind of even like before that, we always talked about how a triangle is 180 degrees. And that's true. But whenever we're talking about this, that's actually not what we are actually addressing. What we're addressing is Scratch is initially pointed in this direction. Maybe this direction. I think you're backwards on my screen. So it's pointed in this direction. We want him to go up this way. So he goes along and he has to turn. There's 90, there's 120. And so it's kind of that outside angle is what we're actually changing by, not the inside angle. These inside angles, if you kind of did each one of these as a line, 120, you got a difference of 60, got a difference of 60, there's 120, got a difference of 60, there's your 180. All right? Okay. So, yeah, I just did all that. All right, now go ahead and modify that code to make a rectangle. Now remember, a rectangle, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Let's just make a true rectangle. That's not a square. We're going to repeat 2 times, moving 100 steps, turning 90, moving 50 steps, turning another 90, and then repeating that. And we'll get a nice little rectangle. In this case, we set pen color to 180. All right. So using kind of anything like this, or any of these codes, we can change the size of the pen, we can change the color, we can make so each color is different. We can kind of just have a little bit of fun with this. And your assignment is actually to have a little bit of fun with the pen. So draw at least, you can do more than 3, at least 3 separate shapes: a square, a rectangle, and a triangle. The shapes cannot be connected. And use your imagination to the color of the size and the shapes. And be sure for you to comment on all sections of your code so you can show what's happening. Hope this was helpful.